go live. Oh, it's today the Day of the Dead. It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Today is. I forgot.
Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah. We're already live. All right. Well, you got to tell me before we go live. Looks like we were having a chat and we went live. Didn't actually realize. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to the Freedom-Preneur Show. Great to have you guys here. What I'm going to ask that all of you make sure that you're doing, if you are here watching, make sure that you do really load your page, and so that you get started from the very top of the hour. Looks like we are rocking and live. Awesome. Well, it's really great to have everyone here today. Joining us, we have a really special show today. Many of you guys are joining in. Some of you came from either our list or you've been following us for a while, but let me give you a little insight about what this show's about and what we're going to be talking about today. I'm here with my Echo Beach mug. Many of you guys have been on this Freedom-Preneur show. I've been using this mug for a while. This is the one that Swan actually etches every morning. He writes me a note, and he usually colors this thing. But if you can tell, it's really starting to get funky. So I'm gonna have to switch my mug. But to keep it real, I had to keep my mug that I always have here. We live here in Echo Beach in Bali, Indonesia. I've actually been hosting this show right here for over 8 years, all over the world. It's called the Freedom-Preneur Show, and this is a place where entrepreneurs, we like to call them freedompreneurs, come to learn and grow. We bring value-based content every single week live. I not only bring in some of the top marketers, educators, thought leaders from across the gamut of small business, of education, marketing, spirituality, you name it. We've had them on the show, and today's a really cool show, guys. I'm excited to have you guys here. If you notice in the back, I've got my hustle hat up, hanging. And and they're for good reasons. Kim Barrett's going to be joining me today, who is not only the co-founder of Hustle Hat Co. If you guys are marketers or you're a business owner, you know how to get your hustle on. And what I love about Hustle, I want you guys to make sure that you're going to follow them, is it's not about the over-grinding hustle. It's about purposeful hustle. And I absolutely love that. Liliana, Kim's partner, are co-founders in this company, and I absolutely love what it's all about, because if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, you've got to know how to get your hustle on and know how to purposely get your hustle on. So I always hang my hustle hat. They're kind of like sponsors of the Freedom-Preneur Show, it seems like these days. Because when I really get the grind on and I'm ready to rock my hustle, I always throw that hat on to remind me to be purposeful, but to always know that it's worth the hustle when you're an entrepreneur. So this is where we talk shop, we get things done. And so for those of you guys that are joining me today, and you are either coming from Kim's list, from our Freedom-Preneur tribe, or you saw one of my videos, welcome. Welcome to the Freedom-Preneur Show. My name is Rhonda Swan. I'm also known as the Unstoppable Mama of the Unstoppable Family. I am the CEO and founder of Freedom-Preneur Movement and Academy, and Your Brand is my business, my company that I love to take brands. I create sexy brands and turn them into unstoppable profit-making machines. That's what I love to do, and that's what we're all about. We've been now traveling around the world for 8 coming up years this month on November 25th. And online entrepreneurs and marketers for the last 11, nearly 12 years. So needless to say, we've picked up a couple things. We learned a lot of things that are not the best way to market, a lot of great things and ways to market. And I like to connect myself with the absolute best of the best. So I'm not going to keep jumbling on. We've got a great guest here today that's really going to teach you guys and dig into a bit of Facebook marketing. Dig deeply into hyper niche marketing and how to scale your Facebook ads. This is a huge thing. I think most people that are starting and looking into learning a bit about Facebook, and they have a small business, you're starting to maybe dabble in ads, but you really don't know where's your level where you can begin to scale. Or maybe you're saying, what the hell does even scale mean? Well, we're going to dig into that today. But I'm really excited because most of you may or may not know, Facebook, of course, now is the most visited website of all websites on the internet. That's rather shocking, and it may shock a lot of you guys. But if you think about the repercussions of not actually being on Facebook, think about this one. If you're a small business, there's some major repercussions of you not actually being on Facebook and understanding how to leverage and use Facebook. 4 years ago, Facebook didn't even rank in the top 10. Didn't even rank in the top 10. But now it's the big daddy of all social media platforms and the most used and visited website. There's an article I was reading that 74% of consumers cited they rely on social media to purchase and to buy, and Facebook is the space where they do that at. Moreover, at any other website that they are visiting. And of course, Facebook shares the greatest influence on Google search rankings in the USA, followed by backlinkings and whatnot. But this is powerful things to think about. And of course, I'm sure it's all over the world. But if you think about it, if you're a business owner, you have a product, you have information, or you've got a small business, whether you're online or you're brick and mortar, Facebook is your space. No matter if you're ignoring it, you're missing out on massive opportunity. So I decided today to bring not only our business partner, Kim Barrett, who is the not only CEO and founder or co-founder of Hustle, but also the CEO and founder of Your Social Voice. Kim's company is responsible for some major marketing for some not only top celebrities like Gary Vee, Reese Witherspoon, but some $1 million companies that do massive revenue in their business, and they utilize Facebook to find and to hyper niche and to target their perfect customer and client. If you know anything about what we're all about, what I'm all about, so I'm teaching you how to understand what your brand is, what you represent, and then finding that right customer that wants to buy from you. And we do that now lately using Facebook more than any other social platform, how to connect with our right prospect, right? Freedom-Preneurs like you, how to find people like you that don't think like us, but also have the similar values and beliefs, so that now what happens is when you find our videos or you see what we're up to, it seems like an instant match. Doesn't that sound really wild that we actually know the things that you like and you know? Well, there's a reason for it, because this guy right here knows how to find you and knows how to hyper knit you. And so without any further ado, Kim Barrett, please join us in the Freedom-Preneur Show. Super pumped to have you. I know we've got hundreds of people here excited to learn from you and to find out what you got going on. So how's it happening over there in Perth, Australia?
It's good. We're very warm over here, so it's great to be on. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. There's a couple things I probably want to touch on as well, just before I get into start looking at the niching, the bit more content based as well. Just of some things that have come out even more recently, just the last couple of days. As you're saying, for those people that have those products and services, and I chatted about this when we were in Bali recently together, is that with Facebook Messenger now and purchasing, and they've got basically bots where you can communicate with all your clients and things like that through there. They've just released PayPal integration with that. So now you can pay straight through Facebook. Facebook is really becoming a hub for everything. You know, they've just released as well more recently Marketplace. Just come out where you can start to buy and get these notifications that people are selling things, and it's so powerful. But one more thing I wanted to touch on, that actually, if you don't do this part right, then everything I tell you is probably going to go to somewhat waste. So I just wanted to touch on this a little bit, which is the brandability that people build in, and it's obviously very important. Obviously, it's something that Rhonda speaks about a lot. Myself and a couple of other friends, a friend of mine put a post up about the other day. We're both quite connected into Facebook headquarters, especially in Singapore, being based in Australia, that the biggest brands, if you do want to grow, and this will come down into the scalability part as well, the branding and virality and the video production that goes in on the front end is actually quintessential, is most important to getting a phenomenal result that's sustainable. Because a lot of people can teach you things that are, I'll call them like hacks or shortcuts that will work today, tomorrow, maybe next week, but are they going to be sustainable in a long-term marketing strategy? That's questionable. So you really want to make sure that whatever you're doing is in line with that. And the reason why we've been getting some great results, especially with, for example, the Freedom-Preneur ads as well, and a lot of our other clients, is those that have been providing value-based content on the front end and high quality value-based content really, really makes a difference. One of the guys, I think he's going to buy a helicopter because he wants to start to make all this content and all this high-end content. So he's going to, like, he posted up, he's like, yeah, I'm going to buy a helicopter and bring on a full-time videographer that follows him everywhere, purely because that's where it needs to go. Like, you can still get great results. Don't worry, if you're just beginning, you don't have to buy a helicopter. We'll cover a few bits and pieces that will allow you to really do well there. But it's just something to be aware of and have in the front of your mind going, you know, the more that you do that, that's going to be something that's sustainable versus just going little short wins, because we want to make sure what we're doing is something that we can have for a long period of time. Because as business owners, which everyone on here is, as freedompreneurs, you want to have a life and a lifestyle that is lasts. It's not like, okay, wow, I did it for 1 year and now I have to go back and work at a store to try and make money. So we want it continuous and long lasting. So what I want to do to start off with, sorry, go on.
Well, let me just touch on that really quickly, because I know you want to step into content, but I think it's really valuable. In fact, it gives a lot of reiteration of why we were just last at our Bali event. I just saw you last. Gosh, it's only been 2 weeks. It feels like it's been so long, right? We were at our Bali event, which is our Freedom-Preneur mastermind. And that's exactly why we've included high-end video production and marketing branding videos for all of our attendees, because we know the value of where it has to lead. And, you know, we can allow someone to leverage what we do inside of our Freedom-Preneur movement, but they also have their own branding video. It's powerful. And like you mentioned, it's people are looking now for that quality. Now, I built a 7-figure business using ARM videos in my iPhone. But, you know, there's something to be said about having a really good quality video that you can leverage in order to use for your marketing. So I thank you for that, allowing everyone in our event to go tick that one off the box. We'll be announcing when our next event is also at the end of the call. We've got some special giveaways as well, guys. So just don't leave before the end of the call. You're not going to want to miss it. So, all right, Kim, rock and roll, big guys. I know everyone is ready. They're like, shut up, Ron, let's go, Kim. So
Beautiful. So there's a couple of different points there. Like when we're looking at, we'll start with the niching aspect. So there's a couple of different things I want to cover off in this area. Some things you may know of, some things you may not. But if you do know of them and you're not using them, that's going to be a huge detriment, because you can hear things multiple times, but if you're not actually applying them and utilizing them, there's no point. So, and I'm just going to, if I'm looking down, I just want to double check, make sure I hit all the points for you guys. The first one is that when you're looking at so there's a couple of different sections being demographics, psychographics, and then there's just some, I'll just call it cool stuff we can do as well. But when we're looking at the demographics, I personally, if you have a big audience, if you're online and you're marketing to huge audiences, I personally recommend to start off by the refinement of being a 10-year age gap. So if you can do that, and it may sound like, 10 years, that's too small, I want to work with everyone, but you can have many different campaigns, but ideally having that one campaign targeting a age gap. Because if there is let's just say we're working with a 20-year-old woman and we're selling clothing versus a 40-year-old woman and selling clothing, they both have different wants and desires. You're not going to be selling the same thing to the 20-year-old as you are to the 40-year-old. They'll both buy clothes, but they're very different clothes that each one would buy. So same thing, if you're going out there and you're trying to catch a fish, if you want to catch a marlin or a little, in Perth we have brim, something like this, you're going to use a different hook. You can't use the same hook. Maybe you can use that fish to catch the other one, but you can't use the same hook to try and pull them in. So you really do need to have an understanding of refining your market at the very beginning. So my recommendation is, if you're watching this, and you should have a pen and paper, 10 years. So that might be 20 to 30, 25 to 35, whatever it is for you, the audience that you want to work with, you want to be very, very refined with your age gap. Secondly, on top of that, I personally would recommend as well splitting out male and female. So you should be identifying again as well. You know, I am not going to be buying a mini skirt, so you're not going to be selling that to me. So you don't want to be marketing to males. You want to be choosing your male or female demographic too. And then if you can, location. There's a couple of reasons why and why not you would do some of these as well. Everything comes down to the circumstance and the substantial evidence of what it is that you're doing. So this is my general advice for everyone. But if you have an area, so for example, me, I would be marketing to Perth, or I would have a campaign for Perth, a campaign for Melbourne, a campaign for Sydney, depending on what it is. Thanks so much. I just got my coffee delivered. Thank you, sir. It's going to keep me going through the call. but you want to have that location down depending on the audience size. So that's the second component. Facebook's recommendation is that you should have at least 150,000 people in your audience when you're running a marketing campaign. For me, sometimes I feel like that's probably a little bit too much. Depending on it, I feel like that might not be niche. My recommendation is 30,000 plus. But when you're below that, and sometimes if you have a physical location, a store, obviously it's going to be smaller because you're marketing to the suburb or the area, the city that you're in. That's okay. You just have to refine how you put your message out to the marketplace. But you want to be looking for that 30 to 150,000. If you're going huge, if you're scaling, which we'll talk about after, you will go bigger. But so if you're in that 30 to 150,000, you've kind of hit that sweet spot. So that would be your first point of call, and that's your tick. That's the first part for your targeting. You've got your location, your gender, your gap. You tick that off. Step one, you're going well. Then it comes down to looking into psychographics and things like that. So this is where, like for us, when we're doing an analysis of a campaign, when we're starting out, we're using our your social voice methodology that we've developed over the years. We've got to start thinking, going, okay, if I am this person, I should have given a better example at the start because I'm going to keep using this one now. But if I am a 20-year-old girl, okay, and I'm going shopping, you need to start to think, and this is hard for me sometimes to do, but we've got to do it. Like, if I'm going out there going shopping, what are my interests? What are my behaviors? What am I actually doing? This is where we get into the psychographics. Who do I currently follow? So if we're looking at celebrities, I don't know the girl's name, but the young Kardashian sister would be one that I would identify. I don't know, and I don't watch any of her stuff, but I know that young girls like her. I think it's Kylie Jenner or whatever their name might be, right? Whatever their name is, that's someone that I would be looking at. So I would start to identify who they're following, who they're watching, what are the trends in that particular area. So what are they also watching on TV? I personally don't watch TV, so sometimes I kind of lose this area. But in Australia, there's a show, and we saw an ad the other day in Australia. We had the Melbourne Cup. The only time I turned the TV on, and I saw some ads come through, and it was something that's like the first date. It's about first dates. So you go on there and you watch everyone go on these awkward first dates and things like that. And I was like, okay, cool. Asking around the office is something that people watch. They're like, yeah, we watch it. I was like, okay, I don't watch it. But that demographic will potentially watch that. The Bachelorette in Australia and The Bachelor are huge programs that people in the age demographic will be watching. So I'm starting to get a more of an understanding about them. Not only going, what's their mindset when they're looking at things, but also these are things that I can target as interest groups. So when I start to refine these things, it's like, okay, cool. If this girl is watching The Bachelorette, The Bachelor, I can start to then refine and use them as interests to start to refine and make my audience even tighter. And we're starting to get that hyper niching going on. So if I'm starting to do that, then it's like, okay, cool. I'm getting more insights into these things. So that is the first part where we have our interest grouping in there as well. We have to start to understand those psychographics. The second component, which is still in the same section in Facebook, but we get starting to look at their behaviors. So behaviors will also fall into those psychographics as well. So it's like, okay, is she a traveler? Does she like to go traveling? Does she stay at home? Is she a young mum? Like, what are the other aspects of them? What are the behaviors that they show? Does she have a high income, middle income, low income? Do they own a house? Are they renting? Like, what are the other things that affect them as well? Because if you can start to do these things, it gets really, really hyper niche, and you start to go, when you're talking to them, it's like, maybe you're like Sally, who is one of our previous clients. She was such a young 20-year-old mom, and she loved to watch The Bachelor, and she quickly realized that to keep up with all the men in Australia these days, you have to have the right fashion. You have to be on fleek. You have to have your clothing, rocking out. So this is why she chooses to shop at Kim's Fashion Boutique. So click below to claim your 10% to be just like her, or whatever it might be. And there's like, wow, that person sounds exactly like I am. And it's like, oh, funny that, because we've set that up to be done. So some of you watching this at the moment probably could most likely have come through the video that Rhonda did, and then the ad that I put up around it. So it's like, okay, cool. How are we going to target that? I was like, okay, we're talking about Facebook. So we're going to target people that have an interest in online marketing, business, or have already liked the Unstoppable Family or Unstoppable Mama page. So when you're seeing that, you're like, wow, this Rhonda, she's all over the internet. She's really on it. Like, she keeps popping up on my newsfeed. It's like, yeah, because you liked her. So you're going to keep seeing her. And then when she's doing a show, do you think it's relevant to show it to people that like listening to her? Of course. So it's a match. And so that's where you start to get really, really cheap results. What you can do then is what I call layered marketing. So I even prepared a diagram for you guys, because obviously I'm super prepared, right? So this is my little diagram. So you've got audience 1 and audience 2. It's probably going to show in reverse purely because my I couldn't write number 2 backwards, so I just drew it normally. So you guys are going to have to put up with that. But your 2 audiences, what happens is normally if you do a marketing, so let's just say we're doing Gary Vaynerchuk and Rhonda Swan. We're marketing those 2 together, right? Normally, you're getting one or the other. So if you're marketing, if I've got both of them in a group together, it's Rhonda Swan or Gary Vaynerchuk followers. But what I want to do is I want to hyper niche. I want to hyper target these people. So I want to have only the people that like Rhonda Swan and Gary Vaynerchuk. That's why this little Venn diagram is showing you we want to get this little tiny audience piece in the middle that covers off over both. So that's called narrowing your audience, or excluding an audience as well. We can utilize there. So when you start to layer these things in, which is what I call layered targeting, when you do that, you really have a hyper niche of people that are just going, that is exactly me, you know, because, and you're not bidding against yourself, because there always is going to be a portion of people that like both things, and you're bidding to try and reach both of them. It's like, no, we just want the little cream in the middle, and that's who we want to be marketing towards. But you can also exclude things. So if you go, well, I want these people, but I don't want people that, you know, also like Brian Swan. I don't want people that like Brian Swan. They're not going to be in my group. So I'm going to exclude people that like Brian Swan, right? So you can exclude people that you don't want to be part of it as well, which then even more tightly brings in that audience and really starts to get that hyper niching. So if you're doing those things, as I said, and you're getting in those audience parameters of that 30 to 150,000, that is as targeted as you can get it. And you can keep doing that all day. You can continue to narrow it. You can continue to work through it. Layer more, you can do more layers. You know, it's like a cake. The more layers, the better. As long as it falls into the right parameters, you just keep layering until you get to the area that you want to get to. That's the first part of how we would start to hyper niche. The second part I want to talk about with hyper niching, and if there's any questions or anything, Rhonda, please just stop me, otherwise I'll just keep going. But the second part with hyper niching, which a lot of people don't realize, is most of us as marketers, business owners, we probably have either one of two things. We either have a email list or we have an existing client database in some way, shape or form before, you know, unless you're just starting out, in which case that's not a problem. The first step is 100% for you. But for those who are existing, what a lot of people don't do, or they do it in some way, shape or form, is go, if I already have an existing group of clients or customers that have paid me good money, that like my product or service, we can put them into Facebook and say, Facebook, can you please find me an audience that look exactly the same as these people? So Facebook goes through, Facebook has 1 million points of data on every single person. They know where you are, who your mum is, who your dad is, what's your favorite food because you take photos of it all the time, what you say in messenger chats, what you post in your groups. So they have all this information, and then as marketers and advertisers, we can utilize that to our best ability. So we say, here is my list of clients now, and it's 1% of the population that they match it to is the closest match, up to 10%. So in Australia, you say, please give me 150,000 people that look like my existing customers, that match up as close as possible. In the US, I think it's about 1.5 million is the starting point. Same thing, give me 1.5 million people who look like my existing clients. So that's a really, really solid foundation there to start to build off. So all the psychographics, demographics that we've done, you don't have to do, because you've already putting that information into there. So you've got this beautiful audience called a lookalike audience of those 150,000, 1.5 million. I think it's 400,000 in the UK. When you're starting off on those points going, cool, this is my foundation. Then you can layer in your layer targeting. Then you can add in your interest and things like that. And it does the same thing, being that in this obviously beautiful diagram, this number 2, for example, is your lookalike audience. And then number 1 is your interest. So you get that cream again. It's like, of my lookalike audience that I already have, we then start to go, who are those people that are interested in Rhonda Swan or Gary Vaynerchuk? And you start to really refine that in. And that means that you've got a better, the most hyper-targeted niche that you can do. and you can start to market towards, which means costs go down, conversions go up. And it's not necessarily as well, I probably just want to touch on this point a little bit. It's not always about the cheapest conversions, like getting leads for $1, conversions for $1. It's about what happens after that. It's about the sale, because I can get leads for 8 cents marketing to Bangladesh. Are they going to buy a $3,000, $5,000 program? Maybe not. Are they going to spend $100? Maybe not. Can they even pay me? No, because there's payment processing issues in there, so they can't even make a deposit and pay for things. So like the cheap leads and cheap traffic is there, but that's not what it's about. It's about understanding what is the outcome you want to do with that. Like, why do you want them? And sometimes you will pay more. Maybe you'll pay $100 a lead, but if you're selling an expensive or a reasonable investment program, that's probably okay. Like, I'll pay that every day of the week for good people.
But, this is a big deal, Kim. I want to jump in because, recently we've been testing for about the last 3 to 4 months. We just recently released one of our newest sales funnels to our Business in a Box Freedom-Preneur tribe members. And we were looking and really just focusing on the testing. We've noticed that every dollar we're getting about $6 to $7, $6.80 something, all the way up to $7 for every dollar we're investing in. But what you just said is extremely vital for everyone to listen to, especially if you're an online marketer and you're building your own programs and products. That's something that I really love to do, is help people take what they know and package it up. But what many people do though, Kim, is they think, okay, I've got a sales funnel and I'm charging this much, and I'm gonna spend $3 to $5 a lead, or even $1 a lead. But if their product is they're only earning $50 in their product and there's no ascension built into it, this is when we're saying these numbers like, look, we're putting $1 in and we're kicking out $6 to $7 for every dollar. It's because we have built in, well, I'm going to use my big paper, you use your paper, is what we call the ascension model, right? Which is, you do start low. And if many of you guys have came into our program for $7, you go into our Kickstarter program, and then you're invited into our Freedom-Preneur Academy, and then you're discuss about the products that we offer, like websites, conversion funnels, and our event. So this is important for everyone to get, because I believe, Kim, what happens many times, it doesn't matter if you're running ads for your company or you're running ads for yourself, you want to really look at what is your ascension built in, so that you can lean really heavy on the front end and put a bit more advertising dollars towards your program if in the back end the numbers work out. We use languaging like, what is your lifetime customer value, or what does it cost to acquire that customer? And for us, most recently, Kim, this new funnel that we've been cash positive, nearly neutral or cash positive, and that's pretty tough to do in many scenarios. And so we're really proud about that, but it's because we've done a lot of this testing and because of your knowledge and education. And I get Facebook, but do I do my ads like that we're doing now? Never, not even a chance. And that's why we rely on your social voice in your company to do that. So touch a bit on, if you'd like to add to that piece about ascension, because I know there's a lot of new business owners and marketers who are like, awesome, I'm just gonna go wild on Facebook. And then they wonder why it's not either working on the back end. Either they need to add in a higher ticket or really need to hyper niche down much tighter so their ad spend goes down a bit.
Exactly, because what most people don't do is they don't work out what their numbers need to be. So we did this exercise in Bali as well, and I said to people, I was like, okay, so what do you want to be able to achieve? And then what does it actually revert back to? And for one person, it actually reverted back to them making something like $10 an hour. And I was like, okay, cool, that's easy. So how many leads you need to be able to get to do that? It's like, if you speak to 5, you get 1, cool. So you only need to make $10. So it's like, if you have a product that's worth 11, you're going to be ridiculously happy to achieve your goal. But if you understand start with the end in mind, going, what is it I want to achieve, and then reverse engineer it back, it allows you to understand how much you can afford to spend or how much you should be spending. And when you do know it is, and then that then moves into the scaling region, it's like, okay, cool. We know that $1 equals 6, for example, at the moment, but there'll be a cap. And that's like, okay, cool. Now we have to scale it. So it'll be $1 equals 4, but because we're getting so much more people, things like that will start to come into play. So you do have to have that model. And as well, 20% of people will always want to buy something more from you as well. There's always people have a desire, and it comes down to, even just emotion. Clicking online, you get a release of endorphins every time you click the button and you feel happier. 20% of people do want to take those next steps with you. So you may as well let them, like we even did before. We have an upsell model, but there's also a downsell model and it's like, people, even on small price products, it's like, you think people will want to downsell or they want less. And it's like, they do. And it's like, you just give them the option to pay it in 2 pieces instead of paying in 1 chunk, and people buy it. It's because they always want to, and just got to work out what is the buying mechanism that they need to be able to do that. So it comes down to not just having that one port of call, because otherwise, just having one thing to sell is never going to be a business. You have a product. You need to make sure that there is that upsell process. You do have an ascension. You do have options for people to do more with you. And that just means that you then can spend more on your marketing, but also your business will become more profitable as well, because you acquire them. You don't have to buy a client again. The most expensive thing in a business is getting the first client. It's like getting them to buy more is easy, but getting them at the start is the hardest part. So if you only have one product and you get them, and it's like every day you've got to go get a new client. You can't ever speak to a client and sell them something else. So it just means that, that's just not only marketing practice, but poor business practice as well. So you do need to make sure that you have that layered in there. And obviously that's something that Rhonda and Brian are actually really good at, is identifying those things and looking at how those models work very much as well. So another point I want to touch on, just going back slightly to the audiences that you have. Obviously, if you do have an email list as well, not only uploading them for lookalikes, but what a lot of people don't realize is, your email open rates, let's say you're really good. Maybe you're getting like 20 to 30%, maybe 40%. If your email list is average responsiveness, maybe you're getting like 5 to 10. Some people get lower. But if you have that audience in Facebook, you can pretty much, depending on the budget, you can make sure that everyone sees it. So, you can change your open rate from, anywhere from 5 to 40 to pretty much 100, because they're going to be aware, they're going to see what it is that you were saying in that email, some way, shape or form. So it allows you to also increase and boost that as well, which is hugely powerful that a lot of people don't even realize. It's like, not only can you do all this other cool stuff, but you can engage the existing people that you have. You've already spent money to get them on your email list as well. It's like, you may as well get, you need to get everything you can out of everything you've got. So by having that point of identification going as well, I can put my clients, my database in there, and I can have another point of communication, another touch point with them. Not only do you email them, they also then see your Facebook ad. It's hugely powerful. And another function of that, when it goes into, before we move on to quickly into scaling, also touch on the one more point for the hyper niching, is using audience insights. So audience insights is a tool within Facebook that shows you all the information about your audience, that shows you, what other people, what other interests could you be targeting? What's the main age demographic and things like that. So if you have a big database, big list, big client base, you can also upload them into audience insights, and that's going to do the hard work. Instead of me having to get into the head and pretend that I'm a 20-year-old girl who likes mini skirts and The Bachelor, like I put that information into Facebook and they tell me what are the parameters around that person, what are the things that are happening there, which makes it a little bit better, a little bit easier job on us as marketers if we're not marketing to the exact person. If I'm not marketing to a 28-year-old male in Perth who I know the best, and get more information and insights into it. So it's very, very, very powerful. And again, if you may have heard of audience insights before, but if you're not using it, before every campaign, or you've just got a really great performing campaign, you go, why did it work well? Put it in and then get even more insights, because then you can utilize that to go into scaling. And that's, scaling is probably the shortest part of this, but I think a lot of people treat it as the most complicated, because you have the ability to do scaling in 2 ways, being scaling up and scaling out are basically the two ways to define and refine your scaling process. And the biggest thing to do, again, is make sure that you do have those numbers down pat, because as I said, when you do start to scale, it will be expensive. Some people even say, obviously, Rhonda mentioned before, cash flow neutral or positive if possible at the moment. But some companies, if they're cash flow neutral or positive, they get upset They want to be negative because they want to be acquiring, as they want volume of customers, because then they know that the back end is going to correlate to a higher amount. So they go, look, if we're cash flow neutral, means you're not spending enough money to acquire enough customers because the cost isn't going up. So you do have to know these things, because some people be like, oh, Kim, the front end, we didn't make it back exactly on the front end. It's like, well, okay, you didn't, but that's because you want to reach scale. You start to have to look at those things, and they come into it so we have scaling up, which is basically just increasing our budgets until we reach that. There's a kind of a point where you go, it doesn't make any more sense to spend any more because the price rises too much. Then you have to look at scaling out. And that's really where your lookalike audiences and things like that start to come into play, because you may have used them ideally at the start, but then all this new audience of people that you've got, you'd be then looking to create lookalikes based off them and plug their data into audience insights, and then start to duplicate those campaigns you're running and start to extend them. And then as well, the current campaign you have, then you rotate in new creative. You start to roll in new video, new copy, different things like that. Maybe directing them to a different landing page, same offer, different landing page, so they start to feel it stays fresh, because you'll reach a point where you start to get ad fatigue, when you're scaling things up. And then it's like, okay, you can then start to rotate things out, and we invest in a lot of different software that we plug things into that allows you to have an automatic rotation. So every 7 days, the this one particular ad turns off, a new one turns on. So you never get the point where your campaigns are feeling like everyone's seen them a million times, because it goes into a rotational pool, and it goes, okay, cool, this video for this week, next week this one happens, then this one, and then it's like, okay, cool. Only my first audience, being my females 20 to 30, see it this week. Next week, my females 30 to 40 see it, and then my 40 to 50 females, and then it goes back. So they only see it once every 4 weeks, so they don't feel like it's being overwhelmed and things like that. So when it starts to go to scaling out, that's the biggest thing, is being aware of ad fatigue, being aware of the audience sizes, and then going, how can I even more so do what I'm doing? There's different strategies for online versus local, because with local, your scale is going to be limited. If I'm talking like physical location, because if you're not selling online, it's like, well, you're geographically hindered by what's available to you there. Versus if you're online, you go, okay, cool. Well, I maxed out Australia. I go to New Zealand. I go to Indonesia. I go to US, UK. You start to rotate across different countries, but you don't have that liberty when you're a physical location. So if you're a physical business owner, you wouldn't be as, I say the word aggressive, but you wouldn't be as aggressive with your marketing on the front, because you do want to have that sustainability with it, and you have to rotate things in more often because it's such a smaller audience size. So when we're looking at that, that's the two keys to be identify and go as well, the online versus offline. And if you are only offline, potentially then looking at as one of your ascension model, going, how can I create something that's online? Because otherwise that's, I say infinitely, but it's more infinitely scalable than anything else that you have, which is very, very important key to have when it comes to scaling, because otherwise you'll just spend more money for less results.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. And are you guys, I know that everyone's getting a lot of value. I've been kind of watching the group, because we're going to take some questions for you guys, in just a moment, for those of you that are currently running ads, or they're going, wow, there's so much information, because there really is. Kim, we started marketing on Facebook, several years ago. And, it takes a lot of time to really learn, to understand how to manage it. And so it just became too much to actually manage. To really get good at what you're doing, you need to have an expert that gets all this stuff that, that you guys understand, and your social voice really utilizes to manage, because it's, there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, certainly everyone can start to learn and understand it. But man, when you are taught just those little nuances, it makes such a massive difference in their marketing. You're just really learning the right ways. And what I love about you guys is that you're always constantly growing. You're learning all the time. You are so connected to the headquarters of Facebook. It's like when Kim finds something out, we're like, oh, this is coming out. You have to make sure we're doing this. And it's so great to have you as a resource, not only in our business, but also within our tribe and the group that really follows us, because it's super valuable. Do you want to cover a bit more content now, or do you want to switch on over to some questions? We've got some giveaways. I got a couple questions to ask you guys. If you've been listening at all, get some benefit. What do you think?
Yeah, if we've got some questions, it would probably be good just to make sure that, because I can cover lots of different stuff, but I want to make sure obviously it's as relevant for everyone as possible.
Okay, perfect. Let me take a look at those of you guys that do have any questions. Make sure that you write them in. Now, some of you guys that are watching the show right now, we do have our Facebook chat row at the bottom, although you have to make sure that you're logged in and registered in order to make a comment. So a lot of people weren't able to make comments because they weren't logged in. So, okay, let's see here. All right, Christine's got a great question. She said, this is really a great way to scale. Once you have $1.20 or $1 coming in from $1 spend, you can scale all day long. The question is, which is absolute, Christine, do you need a minimum of 200 on a previous post or ad for audience insight?
For audience insights, you do, realistically, to get enough data, you need like 5 to 10,000 people.
Yeah.
To get the right data, because otherwise it doesn't work effectively. The only place where you need less is creating a custom audience, is where you can get away with 100. So if you have 100 there, what you can do is put that in, create a lookalike audience, and then put that lookalike audience into audience insights. That's going to be your best bet until you get a larger scale, because then you've got Facebook's found 150,000 people that look like your audience, and then you can utilize that for your insights. Because otherwise, yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't work. But if you do have a page though that has over 5 to 10,000 likes, you can put your page into audience insights and get some refinement from there. Just depends on the assets that you have available.
Yeah, I think, an audience insight, I think, is something that's overlooked probably by a lot of people. They don't utilize it because they really don't know much about it. So they jump into ads first, when really most of your time should be spent on understanding your audience. And audience insights, man, it's so detailed now to this point. In fact, we've been recently doing some of our ads where we're connecting and reaching people that have either traveled to Bali, coming to Bali, just looking at what's going on around this region. And I tell you what, man, what you can learn and understand about the people that are watching your information, it blows you away. I had a conversation with a young lady yesterday who, she wants to work with us and do some coaching. She needs a great blog, authority website. She needs a sales funnel for her programs. She needs to understand, how to really market and target. And so we were having a strategy session. I said, wow, have you looked into Facebook and understanding what the audience insights are? And she's like, I don't know any of that. I'm like, wow, this is something that even Kim, someone that is not even wanting to do their own ads or they want to start learning, just going into audience insights so you understand what your target market and your niche wants to hear, what they talk about. I mean, you could literally learn so much about your audience. I talk a bit about understanding your message and knowing what your brand represents. Well, the way that we communicate all the time is because I know exactly what you want to hear. And it's important for you to focus in those areas. And Facebook does a great job in teaching you what your audience really likes, what they look at, what they talk about, and the things that they read, where they travel, all of this stuff. It's really a powerful way for you to be able to target. So focus, even just starting point is creating audience insights and just downloading them so you can know what your audience likes. Let's see here. Let me take a couple more questions here, guys. We always like to be very respectful of everyone's time here on our show, so we not only get full of content for you, but we also provide you with some questions and answers that you may have. Let's see, I have a question about marketing. Facebook is how do you usually promote your posts? I'm expecting to hear, or maybe that question's about, do you boost? Do you, what type of ads maybe do you run? Is it posting engagement? Maybe go through the ads, Kim, the type of ads. Maybe that's where that question's coming from.
It is a great question. There's about 14 to 16 different ways that you can promote an ad depending on what the outcome is, what your objective is. So realistically, there's only a couple that I recommend, and really this could take you all day to kind of learn about as well. But realistically, there's only a couple of objectives you should have. Someone watching a video, you should have people converting on your website, so you're sending people there to opt in, generating leads through lead ads, website clicks, and if you want to as well, boosting a post or page post engagement. There's a whole debate, and there's probably very big factions of people that are pro-boosting, anti-boosting. Again, it just depends on what your objective is. I think that if you utilize it to grow your business and it works, fine. It just comes down to what their objective is for your business. So they're the ones that I would only be looking at. Most of the time, if you're driving leads, conversions, or lead ads, if you want traffic to your website to build an audience, website clicks, page post engagement, or if you want people to watch your video views.
I mean, recently we've really been hitting heavy, of course, on video because the world loves connection. We're all about people really seeing us. I love being able to connect. In fact, when I started working online, there was that little gap that I was looking to fill, which was, being in pharmaceutical sales. I'd be able to walk into my client's office, right? And they would see me and they'd know what I was about. They could feel my energy and the excitement that I had. But when I started working online, I'm like, oh, how am I going to get that? Like, people want to work with me because either they hate listening to me and my energy or they love it, right? So I wanted to find a way, and this is before Facebook, before YouTube, before any platform started, was still shooting video and utilizing video as the way to connect. I mean, think about it, guys. When you are scrolling through, let's say, of course, we're talking about Facebook, you're scrolling through Facebook, and you see this video that's playing, and there's something about it that just triggers you and connects you. This is the power of emotional marketing and really being able to connect. And this is why, of course, now, we are always been leaning on video, but also why the world is wanting and asking you to give more video. A lot of people are afraid. I mean, goodness, Kim, we were filming, here at our Bali Mastermind event, and we put everyone in a really sticky position. We started off in day one, just understanding what our brand was and then learning our message. And I know there's many of you guys, if you guys were at that event, share what happened for you. But I tell you what, when you get and you're able to communicate what you're about, what your values are, what your business offers, and you can communicate it through video, you will see such a difference in your audience and the way that they perceive you. And if somebody can hear your voice and understand what you're all about, I'm more willing to and wanting to pay someone for a product because I'm like, wow, that guy either sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I can feel I like what they're about. And it just changes the platform. So, the way that we do market and the way that we teach is connection. It's, it's really that attraction style marketing because, studies are recently been done that, like 78% of online consumers said, I'd rather buy from a personal brand or a company that has a personal brand related to them or a story. Look at Kim, for instance, like Virgin Airlines, Richard Branson, he's the founder of Virgin, and he's in front. His story is always in front. So although his products that he offers are really not him, because people know who he is, they relate that brand to his story and who he is and his values. Same thing with Steve Jobs, and I use this a lot. Apple computers are really connected to Steve Jobs' vision and why, and that's why we buy, right? So if you are, a small business or you are an online marketer, your personal brand, your story matters, and videos really matter. And Facebook's allowing us to connect much closer. In fact, the video that we just posted, now we just said captions are back. We took captions away for a while. Captions are back, which is great because now you can scroll through Facebook and they can read your words that you're using on your videos. And so people don't even have to now listen to it. They can actually read them if you add captions through when you're placing your ads or when you're uploading your videos. And then lastly, Kim, I'll let you go back to you, is we have been focusing on lead ads and using video to connect and bypass the opt-in. This was a major breakthrough in not only cost savings, right, with our leads. We were getting much less lead price went way down, but now Facebook's allowing that consumer, what do you call it? Their experience to be a lot quicker and easier for them to get the information they want. Why don't you touch a little bit on that? And I'm going to check some more questions as well, because that was a major breakthrough as to why we are getting every dollar, we're kicking out $6.80 or $7 with our Freedom-Preneur funnel. And it's because of these specific ads that we're now targeting and using.
Yeah, and it comes down to being like what the actual outcome is of the of the user being that make their experience better on Facebook. Now it's like do people really want to go to an opt-in page and download something and go, yes, okay, I'll enter my email for your awesome branding book, Rhonda. Okay, I'll do it. It's like, well, if we can make that experience easier for you where it's 2 clicks and then you can come through and see what you really want, because no one ever wants the freebie or giveaway, really. What they really want is is whatever's on the, sorry, my voice is going, whatever's on the sales page, right? That's really what they want to see. They're like, cool, what's the actual thing? Because everyone goes, intrinsically, they go, oh, I know this is going to be good, but there's going to be something better behind it, right? It's going to be, what's the thing I have to pay for? Because that's where people perceive. It's like, if you pay, you pay attention. So that's really what people want to see and go to the next stage. And so we just looked at going, how do we make that process easier for people? Well, ideally, send them straight to the sales page, but then we can't follow up. Cool. Well, now that's why they've got lead ads. So with 2 clicks, they click, open up, click, and it auto-populates their information, opt in. Then we can send them straight to the sales page because they've had the buy-in, they watched a few minutes of a video, and then they go to that sales page and they're much more engaged on the sales page because that's what they want. They want to go to what is the next offer. But being the benefit of Facebook and lead ads, we then also integrate them into our email follow-up sequence. We can actually do some cheeky stuff with Brian and I looked at the other day with webhooks and all this other fun stuff. Actually, we put them into the funnel sequence, into the funnel through the lead ad. So they don't even have to go to the first stage, but we managed to hook them back in and do some cool stuff there. So they have the full experience of going through the funnel as they should have, even though they didn't go to the opt-in page. So it's hugely powerful because it's more so what the client wants, because as marketers or business owners, we can go, oh, we've developed this cool thing and we want to do it this way. It's like, well, no, the market's going to tell you what they want. And if they don't want it, they don't want it. You want to make sure that you've got, you do what the market says instead of what you think.
Yeah, that's a big one, I think. It's funny too, because we see even, I work with, people helping them develop their brands and their products. And I'll talk with someone, they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to create this because I want this. And I know these are the things that that people are going to want to buy. I'm like, do you know that for certain? Have you actually asked your audience? Well, no, but I think this is, and it's really opposite. You want to know, test your market, know what they want to buy before you actually start investing a lot of time and energy into creation, right? And I think this is the type of things that takes people, their businesses from being, an average business owner to really being an expert in their craft. And I tell you what, it's, there's one thing that I've always admitted. I'm great. I'm an expert in many areas. But the areas that I'm not, I totally relieve that to the experts, because then it allows me to be a professional business owner, allows me to focus on what I do well, right? And you need to focus on what you do well in your business and allow the experts to focus on their areas of expertise. And I tell you what, Kim, that's been a really big growth piece for my business. And I know, in our group is really allowing you to say, okay, what are you great at? Let's focus there. And now let's help you find, the right people that can create a sales funnel for you. If you're using ClickFunnels and it's just too confusing, well, allow someone to do it, or allow us to share one of ours with you, because that's the biggest piece is really understanding you can create anything that you think is going to work. Unless you're willing to test it and put money and energy into it, let the experts create the ones that really work. And I know, Kim, that there's a lot of people going, okay, I get it. There's so much going on here. And I know we discussed this before the call starts, is that Kim's going to be offering to you guys, it should be on this page right now, offering to really give you guys a bit of a strategy session and kind of take a sneak peek into your business. Why don't you share with them what that looks like, Kim? Because I know with our group, they know that we always provide the absolute best content, value-based that we can, but there's only so much that you can teach in an hour. And there's only so much that you can, either do on your own. And it's good to have someone do, I like to call it like that 30,000 foot above, look at your business. All right, so this is your product, this is your service, this is what you're doing. And let's look into it and see and optimize either campaigns that they're maybe currently running, or optimize what they want to be starting, in their using Facebook ads. So share a bit about that, and then what you guys will notice is there'll be a button popping up, allow you guys to book this strategy session with Kim. But go ahead and share what that looks like for them.
Sure. So we've got a couple of spots available over the next week, 30 minutes or 60 minutes to go through. Ideally choose 60 probably because we're going to get to go through a lot more, but we are going to go through and look at, the 3 areas of effective marketing, come down to your target, your messaging and your offer. And, I am very, I'll be very nurturing and caring, but very blunt as well, going, okay, cool. If this isn't working, why? I'm going to pull you up on it and ask. And if you don't have ascension, why not? And we can strategize around that too, because as Rhonda said, sometimes you do need that person to go from outside to be able to come in and do it. We did this with the Freedom-Preneur funnel. I jumped in and looked at some stuff and chatted to Brian. He's like, man, I've been so busy building and doing the internals, I haven't even thought about doing this. And we can start to really optimize and improve things based upon that. So the session will be going through, like where you're at the moment, what are your goals? Because we always want to go, I can tell you to do some amazing things, but if your goal is only to make $1,000 a month, cool, it's a much simpler strategy. If you want to make 100,000, we're going to add in some extra stuff. So we're going to go and identify what the gap is of what you're doing, if what you're doing at the moment is going to get you there, how we scale it, or if you need to add in new things, what new things do we need to add in as well? So we'll go through what your goals are, and then what's the best strategy and tactic to do that, and we'll then identify, is it something you need to learn? Is it something you need to outsource? What is it? Do you want to do some stuff with us? If you want to do stuff with me, great. If you don't, great as well. Hopefully we'll give you a great blueprint and plan to be able to take away and implement regardless of what you choose to do in the future anyway, because it is these opportunities, these times where you can identify, especially like probably the most important thing to recognize is, guys, the timing of this is November. Realistically, you've got to be prepped for January now, because for an effective marketing campaign to take off, like the one we're doing for the Freedom-Preneur funnel at the moment, it does take 2 to 3 months to refine it. So it's like you can start now and hit January going crazy, or you can wait till January and then not start until March, April. You know what I mean? If you set things up then, it's going to take you that longer period of time. And some people go, I don't want to bother people at Christmas. One of my clients made $20,000 on Christmas Day and Boxing Day from an online funnel. So you want to make sure that if you are doing things like, the marketplace will tell you, this is the time where you want to set things up. Because imagine if you get 2 to 3 months of testing now, come January, you're going to be off to the races because you can scale. Whereas, you don't want to be looking at things retrospectively and go, oh, it would have been great if I started in November. But,
that's exactly what we hear. We were just talking with our Bali group. In fact, our next coming event is set up in January 28th for a reason, because we now took this group, we've got our Freedom-Preneur program, but we said, look, if we don't start now, right, then January is going to be a really rough climb up the ladder. So if you are now building your pipeline, understanding, how to, let's say, even if you have an idea right now, let's productize some of your knowledge. Let's start learning how to monetize it. Let's automate that process, because, Kim, this is one thing that, we've talked about this whole call all day today, is really about, understanding what the market wants, knowing how to find them, and of course, leveraging Facebook. But so many people, they don't understand the fundamentals of really what building a sales funnel even means. And so many sales processes are very manual. We see it every single day. They're manual processes. So they're not, they don't understand or just haven't been educated enough to learn what ascension means. Building a small product, right? A tripwire, we like to call it. And many of you guys probably have already done that. That's why you're here, because you're like, darn it, I bought that blueprint they had for $7 and then they made it super funny and irresistible to buy, the traffic program. And then I bought the email program, and darn it, then I was invited to a group and then a call with Brian, and darn it, now I already bought this business in a box. Well, how cool does that process sound for all of you to have and be able to emulate? And that's what we're doing here. That's what Freedom-Preneur is all about, is not only giving you the education, the fundamentals, but also allowing you to leverage what we know and what we've done. So to leverage a sales funnel process and then to implement it into your own business. That's what we do here, and that's what we are so excited about. So for those of you guys that are, definitely take Kim up on your offer. If you've got a program or a product or a company that needs help in understanding, looking at it, utilize this offer. Kim doesn't offer this to everyone, I'll guarantee that, but he does it because we are partners and our same mission and our values are the same, which is helping more people become successful, to leverage the digital economy so that you can live free. You can live in Bali if you'd like, or you can, work at home and be home with your children. And it all starts with you understanding the fundamentals that are required to leverage this economy You can't just jump in without knowing or not having. This is a cool one, Kim. I watched this video yesterday, and I gotta remember who was the guy. Who was the guy that accidentally announced the second winner for the beauty pageant? What was his name?
I don't remember his name, but I know the guy you're talking about.
You know the video I'm talking about, though?
Yeah.
There's a video I watched of him yesterday, and he's like, you're an entrepreneur, you got to learn to jump. You got to learn to jump. And he's going through, and he's like, you got to learn to jump. You know, because so many of you guys are standing on the edge of this cliff of entrepreneurialism, but you're not willing to really jump. Now, you might be standing on the edge watching all these people, and they're soaring and they're flying. You're like, wow, look how well they're doing, and they're soaring, and gosh, I'm just at the edge and I'm not willing to jump. Well, if you jump, guess what's going to happen? I can guarantee you that you probably, your parachute's not going to open. And you're going to hit the side of the cliff. You're going to bounce off the side of the cliff. And you're going to freaking pour in. One thing I will guarantee you is that if you jump, your parachute will eventually open. It's not going to open ever if you just don't jump and you don't go for it. And it was so powerful to me because it made me really think about what we're doing and what our mission is to help teach people the right ways to market and build businesses and leverage, goodness, connected, amount of years is over 20 years of experience. I started working online 12 years ago, knew nothing, absolutely nothing. All I knew is I had a vision and I had a why that I was going to figure it out. I didn't have great mentors, but what I did is I just focused on learning every day something new. Now, many might look and go, well, you guys are soaring. You've been soaring for 8 years, working online. Man, you know how many times that we have hit the cliffs? A million times, side to side. But man, wind picks up and you connect with people like Kim and partner with great people that have similar values. What happens? Poof, air pops into your parachutes and you start to soar, right? And great things start to happen in your business. And then it starts to fluff again. But because you have a community and you've got a tribe, you've got other people that are there to support you, what happens? You've got people that may hold up to your wings. They hold your wings open when you're ready to be fearful and not continue on. That's what we wanted to create. We want to create this amazing group that can leverage each other, learn, use our experiences, partner with the absolute best in the industry that are actually in it for your best interest, not their best pocketbook. Because I believe that it's honesty and integrity over currency. Now, should we have the right to earn currency or to exchange information for dollars? Yes, all of you should. We should all be doing it the right way, the best way, and to be partnering the right one. So what I want to, again, reiterate, there's a couple more questions before everyone goes. I have a giveaway, though, guys, before you head out, so don't leave. Because I know everyone likes free stuff. And we do have some free stuff that you guys are going to be able to leverage. There we go. I'm reloading that page. There was a question, though, Kim, before we go. Okay. Did the strategy session button go away, guys? Let's make sure that it's still there. We should have a strategy session button. Should be there the whole time. And let me make sure. Can you guys let us know if the strategy session button is there? Brian, will you please reload the page for me? Yeah, strategy session's there. Yep, it should all still be there, guys. The strategy session button should be on the page. So make sure, let me know if it's not. There is one gentleman that did ask a question. He said, do you know if I can target personality types on Facebook, like introvert or extroverts? Great question. And then second, can you expand on the difference between scaling vertically versus horizontally? So let's hit introvert versus extrovert.
Yeah. I wish it was that simple to be able to, but you'll find that there'll be different behaviors and people that introverts versus extroverts would follow. So they would have different behavioral aspects, which is why you need to spend that extra time at the start looking it up and studying it and going, okay, cool. Maybe there's also, there's books like Networking for Introverts. Maybe they like that book. Maybe there's pages around that and things like that as well. So that's what I would be looking there. So unfortunately, yeah, short answer, no specific, like this person is introverted versus extroverted, because as well, like there's different things that would throw people off on what they assume an introvert or extrovert is. Yeah. But you can also obviously identify that in your ad copy. It's like introvert ? Only introvert's going to click on that. Scaling up is more so, I normally look at it as increasing ad budget to the point where you reach a tipping point and then you can't really scale anymore. And then out is where you'd start to look at how we expand audiences, lookalikes, duplicating campaigns and things like that, rotating in different creative and copy and things like that too. So up, I normally have my personal definition is increasing in budget in a specific campaign. Out is then looking at increase and expansion of audiences.
Awesome. Hopefully that helps. Let us know if you want us to elaborate a bit more. Great. The button is on there. Excellent. So make sure, guys, that you do, absolutely leverage what Kim is offering and his team's offering. They're really great for that. And few things. All right. So we do have some freebies. We got some new, couple updates. Our Bali event is coming up. It's exclusive to our Freedom-Preneur tribe in our group. There should be a button as well just below. If you refresh the page, if you're not seeing the buttons, refresh the page. That'll give you access to not only Kim's book that he's giving away, as well as PDF guide of how to get 5 customers next week. And before you actually have Kim's call, this is what I want you to do. I want you to use this content. When you book a session with him, you say, I got 5 customers, or I didn't get 5 customers. You got to show me now what to do. Hold them accountable. That's what we like to do. We're all about accountability here. So make sure you do grab Kim's guide and then access for certain the strategy session. And then, of course, take a look deeper into our Bali event. It is coming up. We do have an application process because not everyone is invited, unfortunately. We make sure that we break bread together. We stay in the same amazing, gorgeous homes together. And the values have got to be very congruent. And so therefore, it doesn't mean we exclude you. It just means that we get to choose, which is a very valuable position to be in your business. You have to choose the right people because we won't take your money unless we can help you. That's a guarantee. And that's something we want to make sure. So you can feel free to fill out that application. You'll be contacted and you can learn a bit more. I know that our Business in a Box members, you guys get a bit more of some benefits as well. And so if you are booking a session with Kim, he'll make sure that you understand what those benefits are for you by being partnered with Kim and your social voice. But our Business in a Box program is rather, it's really cool. It's kind of a gap that we've been decided to fill for small business owners, giving you guys an authority website, a sales funnel that works for your business, including, of course, email backends, and allowing you to leverage the education that we have in our Freedom-Preneur Academy, which is like 86 hours worth of content from start to finish, mindset to marketing, how to build it and do it yourself. And then, of course, our Business in a Box program is done for you stuff. And so we're looking to not only help more marketers, more business owners grow faster, but have the right way to do it. So allow us to be that resource for you and take up Kim on his offer as well. All right, guys, last thing is I have a question. If you remembered what Kim said early in the calls about minute 22, we talked about custom audiences. And you said, Kim, that Facebook recommends that you have about 150,000 in your audience when you're building a campaign so that you can get the best customer insights. But Kim actually gave a bit of your social voice strategy that is a bit smaller or larger, if you remember. What was that number that Kim said you should target your audiences when you are building your campaigns and your ads? If you know, I want you to write it down in the comments below. And if you do know what that is, we are going to not only send you a super sexy Freedom-Preneur shirt that was created by Stephen Moody with your Moody Tees. Moody Tees, he's been creating all of our shirts for our events for the last 4 years. But we will also give you guys, if you don't have it already, 30-day access to our Freedom-Preneur Academy. Boom, you got it. What is your name? This is I love it. This is the guy that asked, the gentleman that asked. All right, you don't have your name there. He's the one that asked about scaling of horizontal and vertical, and being an introvert extrovert, which I thought was an awesome question. You also said that he tried to opt-in box on your social voice, but nothing happens after he put in his email and hit the button. So make sure that you check that too, Kim, on your social voice, the opt-in box. But you, there you go. That's why you got to come through us in order to get it. Haha, sneaky guy. So make sure that you go to the application page of the strategy session. All right, I need to know your name. I'm going to reload so I know who you are, where you're from, and that will get you 30-day access to our Freedom-Preneur Academy. And let me see. Hold on. I got to reload my page. Where's he at? Okay, we need your name. We need your name. All right, keep reloading. It might be, let's see if I can find, oh, Michael McDonald. Dun, dun, dun. Yay. Awesome, man. Michael McDonald, you are the big winner of the 30-day access to our Freedom-Preneur Academy and a Freedom-Preneur t-shirt. We'll be, our assistant will be reaching out to you, Victoria, to make sure we get your details, and also to be sure that you also have the access to that strategy session with Kim. If anyone has any issues with booking that session, please let us know. But Kim, what a great show. What's that?
My inbox is blowing up.
There you go. Awesome. Well, it's a powerful offer that you're giving, my friend. I really do appreciate it. And as always, people are always giving. Our people are amazing. So, and I know that you are too. So we'll take care of each other. Well, Michael, it was super cool, man. I'm really pumped for you to get that right away. No, Christine, you had it too. And but Michael jumped in right at the game. So did Catherine. Catherine's like, I got it too. Way to go, Michael. He popped in right at the right time. And that's awesome. So Kim, anything else that you want to close with?
No, that's it, guys. As always, like obviously we're here to help. So any questions as well. I'm in amongst all the Freedom-Preneur groups too. So if you do have anything that we couldn't cover off on, and we can try and help. Obviously, if you can jump on the call, but if it's a general little small question, feel free to chuck it in, and we'll obviously get to it as soon as we can as well. And yeah, thank you so much, Rhonda, and the Freedom-Preneur tribe for having me on the call. Yeah, man, awesome. I appreciate it. Everyone else does. There's like 5 Freedom-Preneur groups, Kickstarters, Business in a Boxes, and our generic Freedom-Preneur tribe. You know what I think everyone needs to start doing is, if you're in all the other groups, make sure that you are part of our Freedom-Preneur tribe group, which is the general group that's totally there for the public to interact with. You can do that and connect down below of this page. And that's the best place to ask your questions so that we can really keep the content, general for everyone, so everyone gets their question asked. So make sure that if you do have any specific questions, we always answer them in there. There's a ton of people scaling that group all the time, asking questions, providing content. So if there's something that you guys need, put it in there so that the benefit of the group. Don't send Kim private messages or me, because we want you to leverage that group. And we've got way too many people to connect with, to get personals, but we are there to help you guys, of course, get all your questions answered, and we will do it through strategy sessions or inside that group. So everyone, way to go. Michael McDonald, congratulations. Thanks, everyone, for being here. It's been an incredible show. We're going to continue to bring more value-based Freedom-Preneur shows. In fact, I believe we're going to start doing them more staggered, once the first and the third of every month. So we really provide and bring the absolute top, not only content, value, speakers, really get you guys focused and helping you build your Freedom-Preneur business. So have a great one, everyone. And as always, be unstoppable. Unstoppable.
See you next time.